Well, early today morning, last day of the week, Friday, and we see a bit of positivity across markets. So when we look at how US markets have done, well, they've risen as investors have started to look beyond the Fed comments as well as the geopolitical situation that's playing out. The other thing that's played out is, of course, oil prices have tempered off. They're at around $112 a barrel as we speak in early trade, and they were lower at least yesterday at the point when US markets closed. So that kind of helped US markets as well. Also, there's an initial jobless claims report which has come out, which has clocked initial jobless claims at 187,000, which is the lowest since 1969, which is definitely good news for the economy, and that will of course translate to better sentiment in the market. With the Dow gaining around 1% or so, the S&P 500 too was up around 1.4%, while the Nasdaq was up 1.9%. Now for the week as well, S&P and the Nasdaq are at least in the gains. The S&P 500 is up 1.3% for the week till date, and the Nasdaq is up around 2.1% for the week till date. The Dow is holding on to a very thin loss for the week. It's down around 1 basis point for the week at the moment. The S&P 500 has recovered 8% from its recent lows. So definitely good direction that the market is taking at the moment. Moving quickly on to Europe, Europe was largely mixed. Of course, the G7 summit was the focus in European markets, but the DAX was down around 7 basis points only. The CAC 40 was down around 0.4%, and the Stock 600 was down around 0.1% or so. When we look at the FTSE, it was up around 0.1%. So very marginal gains and losses there. Asia too was mixed yesterday, and that's how the story at the moment seems to be playing out as well. In fact, when we look at the Nikkei, it's down around 0.1%, and the Hang Seng is also down around 0.25% or so. The Shanghai, the ASX 200 and the Kospi are holding on to very marginal gains, with the ASX leading those gains with 0.3% or so in the green. When we look at the SGX Nifty, that too is showing positive cues, up around 0.4% as we speak in early trade. As we did speak about commodities, oil has seen a bit of a blip. It's down to around $112 a barrel as we speak, and gold has scaled back higher. It's at around $1,960 an ounce as we speak. Moving quickly on to currency and bonds, well, the dollar index is holding up smartly at the 98.6 mark, so definitely a positive for the dollar and a slight negative especially for the rupee. And the US 10-year treasury yields are holding up nicely at 2.36%. Mind you, they have breached 2.4%, they've tempered back down, but holding up above that 2.35% mark. Cryptos though saw a good gain, 5% plus up broadly across cryptos, and Bitcoin is at around the $44,000 mark. That's a roundup of how this Friday morning is looking. Positive sentiment, especially for India.